Hello. Today I would be presenting about my last topic on film for film placement. So the question was select the topic on personal interest, something that you learned, observed, or during your placement, which I wish to share or express my opinion. So the the placement at Clearwater was like I did not know anything about like what the people each group would be, what disability is, and the location was I know just knew about the location except that I was just going blank without any knowledge or without any preparation. Like if I know any disability or something that I would research or something, but I couldn't do that because I was not having any enough information about it. So that's why, which makes me a lot scared about being there, as well as more I was interested working with kids or children, as I had prior experience in working with kids. So that was my main interest, and I was like, no, it would be really difficult to build a rapport or be with the people with disability, especially with adults. So that was my part, which this was the situation just before the starting or till the first day of my placement. So in this slide, I would like to talk what I learned at the placement. So I learned about the disabilities, the people who are living there, and how their behavior. I try to connect with what I have learned in theory during my first and second semester, or by searching it about specific autism, mild intellectual and disability, what are their characteristics, and try to relate that if they are doing some type of behavior, this would be because of autism or because they are just anxious or something else. So I learned a lot. As one of the guy I was supporting was non-verbal, as well as he was communicating in initial months. He was communicating through sign language, or he would be just replying verbally, which was really difficult for me to understand. But later on, as his protocol developed, so we try to use outcome with him. So I just not learned that sometimes it's really difficult at certain place if another person is not able to understand what they're trying to say. So the difficulties they face and how important as well as useful the protocol, or you can see the board maker is for them. As one of the guy who is suffering from behavior issues, so I go through his behavior support plan, as well as I attended various meeting with Paul, he was looking about his behavior issues and trying, who is preparing his PSP plan. So that was really interesting for me to go through all the process, try to give some inputs like, is it this behavior because of his autism or because of his any trauma or something? And especially as I was having one of my subject in intervention teaching strategy, which is related to behavior support plans, so I was just trying to make connection to this too, as well as I did a small research about medication and its side effect, how the medications they are taking would be having side effects. So I just tried to create a word document about it. Financial transaction as well as passport, I learned a lot about financial, how to do financial transaction, record it, which I will be furthering talking later on in this slide. So it was really interesting for me and it was new for me, because about ODSP and passport, I was just having a little bit knowledge because I had not brief enough before, or not that much knowledge before being on placement about passport and OSP. Right now, as I'm having a social service subject, which gives me a brief description about passport and all that stuff, as well as how to use the passport funding, planning activities, as well as how to manage all the activities and use just a single van and try to maintain the balance between activities and each person. Is it like the guy who is living downstairs or with the guys who are living upstairs, they can get enough time to go outside and plan each and every activity for them also. So that was really challenging for me. But as I just observed them, I can get the knowledge that yeah, this can be done. So interesting at placement, I find that it was really brainstorming to suggest any activity or do some activity with the guys living there, as well as building the relationship with the people living. And that was really interesting for me. As soon as I create like a rapport with them, is like, oh, that's the easy thing. And the thing another which interests me that I usually thought that people who are with disability, they need every time support. It's like they need more or intense care and support. But the people living here at Clearwater, they were mostly doing their work independently, and they were like not needing any prompt, especially the guys who were living upstairs. But the guy who was living in basement, he needs a little bit prompt, but still he was good, like doing all the stuff properly according what he's been learned throughout the years. So that was really interesting for me, as well as if someone is sick, if like just the weather is bad and if someone has went to hub and he is not arrived, so another guy would be worrying, especially one guy would be worrying, oh, he would be rich, he hope so, he would become soon, he would be safe. Even if the staff arrived late, they would be asked, why you're late, is it the weather good? So that is like really, that was really different for me. And like, I can't explain in words, that was really nice if someone asked at your placement like, oh, why are you late, are you okay? So that was great for me. So, what I observed at the placement was usually how the DSW2s and DSW1, the staff who were there as a full-time staff, would be responding to this critical situation, like if they had a breakup or if they had a new girlfriend, what's the appropriate way of talking to them that they won't be getting annoyed, or especially one guy. Uh, would be annoyed or replying back and telling something else. So how to respond to that? That was I learned, and I observed that the way of the responding in a proper manner, as well as guiding them to a socially appropriate behavior, as he was facing different issues and he was having new girlfriend. So how to deal to get it slow so that he won't be getting hurt once again or something like that. Giving them options and choice, like what they want to do, but make sure that they include everyone. Like, that was really nice, which I observed and I learned, and I'm trying to implement it right now. How to give them, do you want to do this? And if they don't want to do or eat something, like just accepting their choices, that's really important to give the choices to the person. If someone is yelling and swearing at staff, especially the guy who is living downstairs, he is having some behavior issues, so he would be doing. So he did with me once and twice. So how I observed and try to respond it, and sometimes I may be making a mistake, so I would just try once again to make it more appropriately. So I observed and I learned a lot. So today I would be mostly like to talk about aims. So as in my first and second semester, I was not having that much information or learned anything about managing finances or recording in a transaction or something. But this was most interesting for me and challenging for me, as I was not having that much theoretical knowledge about it. Rest I was having a little bit theoretical knowledge, just try to connect with the practical and deal with person to person how it goes differently. So that was the thing. So the full-time staff, especially DSW2, records the financial transaction depending on the case study. But still the staff member would taking help, like discussing the activities or getting suggestion from another person, or if some issues or some behavior problem has been arrived at the place, so that would be recorded in AIMS, and everyone can see that this behavior issue was happened, or that guy was grumpy, the reason and all the stuff. So this might help the another staff before coming on their shift to know that what's the situation of the house, making weekly notes so that in later on they can give inputs and all the stuff was really interesting for me. This aims has like a lot of good stuff which I find it useful, which makes the life of DSW2s and DSW1 more easier. DSW1 don't have the access to their financial information or can do any transaction or record it, but DSW2 can do it. So the people living there, they have like specific different accounts which has the information about their personal outcomes, about their goals, about their medications and everything, which would be recorded in AIMS. They have the different, I like it more interesting about AIMS, which has separate checking account, shared grocery account. If the guys are sharing the grocery savings account, and then their passport account. So if they are spending money, so this would be all recorded and receipt would be put on this. So about passport money, I find it interesting because it was new for me and I was not having any knowledge how the transaction goes, and it take me a while to learn about properly, like, oh yeah, this that means. So it was like two, as we all know that money for people with disability comes from ODSP and their passport money. So passport money is usually for their activities, leisure activities, or involvement in communities like movies, going to parks, doing some activities. Now I came to know more about passport, and I can do like how DSW can get administration fees reduced, pay for a DSW2, all the stuff I came to know after just finishing recently classes in social service. And that makes a lot of sense after being on placement and understanding that stuff. So the beforehand information from placement helped me a lot. And I find it really challenging to that I really appreciate DSWs too, who are dealing with the passport services, trying to make them in different kinds of activity and make you proper use of their money from the passport. Because if they use it like in so starting months, because starting period is from 1st April to 31st March, so they get yearly this money to maintain a track and keep all the information is very necessary. So I find it really challenging to go with the flow. If someone miss one day or miss one receipt or something, it would be really difficult to get back the money back. So going through yearly, making enough activities for them, so that was interesting, and I learned from that how to keep an activity which engage them, ask them like, do you want to go for this, what is your interest. So that's the thing. Financial transaction, I was not knowing about this, that there are different money kept separately for DSW1s, and DSW2 has a different access to a larger amount, so that if someone came and they find, oh yeah, this activity needs to be done, they have lots of money or they can buy something more, so that makes a restriction that this is only that money, so that not everyone has the access. And also they have some restrictions for DSW1s and DSW2s. So DSW2 would be preparing all the stuff, and it's really important that um, if one person is dealing with the money and all the stuff, it doesn't make that much if someone money is missing or mistake is done. So not everyone is responsible, but on the same hand, if one person is making recording all the transaction, it might be overwhelming for him. So yeah, so the guys also get their money to spend like $10, while two of the guy get their money for spending for the wallet maximum $10, while another guys earn by themselves like doing their daily kiosks or doing their weekly activities, and they might get stars or bonus tokens or cash in money. So there are different activities which I find it interesting, and I might use it later on at another placement or where I would be working. So that's really new for me. This way they can get the money and they get a little bit authority and responsibility for maintaining their money, choice what they want to do or how they want to use their own earned money, and as well as they know the importance of money. Also they would be getting a chance to count the money and make recorded. So it's really nice. And it's really important to give a little bit freedom as so that usually I've seen or what I observed back in my home country, people with disability won't be having that much of authority or freedom to use their money by themselves. Usually, even if a person is being cared or no for his care, no, no, don't spend this. You can make it more useful. It's give them a freedom, whatever they want to use. I believe, and I appreciate the people working at Clearwater does that in a good way. Mm, Further, it's if a simple mistake can make a lot of difference in it. As I was helping, as I right now help in doing the financial transaction, I can help them and like recording the transaction, checking the receipt, marking the dates, and make writing the initials. I am not allowed to do that, but I can record it and show them this is the transaction, mean balance, whatever there it's in their current money and the safe recorded. Especially there are different monies being kept, so arranging the receipt according to the dates and putting the initials, highlighting that, and keeping that in envelope so that later on the as the end of the month, they are submitting the ledgers, like whatever transaction is been done it's printed with the receipts and all the stuff. So it needs to be perfect so that if at any time a person for another staff or anyone came for checking it, so they don't find any mistake. So that's really important. So important about money management is I find it's a big responsibility, and it's good that they are taking sometimes to the bank and they would be doing the transaction, uh, so that they can learn a little bit more how to behave appropriate in bank or get the money, tell them, sign for them. Taking that small responsibility maker gives them a freedom and like maybe help them to build confidence in further. And different ways of teaching, I find it really important, like game consent check marks. So yeah, it's money important because if a small mistake happen in that, they might be lose whole budget for a month, and later on we can't borrow it from someone else account and give it so that they can balance it, because it might be not good. I really like it. Staff at Clearwater never does that. They would be using or they would be wait for a day, go to the bank and get the money for that guy, but not spend for another from another person. If in case of emergency, it they might do that, like if they need a PRN or if they need a medication and they have no option, that person cannot go outside because he or she is sick and they can't go to the bank and get the money, or it's night time and they want to have some medication and they don't have money. So that's the thing. So that's really interesting, and I learned a lot. This concept I really like to share it, and hope so this might be useful some for someone else at another placement, so that they can make few changes if they are not doing it correctly or they are doing it in a different way to make it more easier. Thank you so much for spending the time. Hope so I give some a little bit information about it. Thank you.